Is this one continuous shot? If this is one continuous shot and it lasts like 4 minutes, that's insane. I don't think people realize with a singular cut like this, yeah, like literally a stack of papers to do that. Crazy thing too is they have all the rain happening and yet you can still keep up with everything. It doesn't blur it out, but it does add to that atmosphere. Jesus, the fact that they did this in a singular cut, just approaching it, spinning the camera around, not letting a single thing drop. Holy fuck. This is like watching some Redline animation and being like, how the fuck did they do this? Because that was rotoscope too. I love how the rain's getting heavier and heavier so we can barely see our MC anymore. The fact that they did that in a singular shot, rotoscoped. I saw someone post and the stack was like literally this big and there was like 3 of them. And that's not even an exaggeration of how many pages it would be to do that. Hey you, if you did get this far in the video though, make sure you drop a like, share your support, subscribe if you're new around here, and Patreon is of course where you're going to catch my full live reactions to all of some more, which also does help fund the channel and videos just like the one you're watching, but we gotta jump into this. We got a lot to talk about. Do you know what we're looking at right here? Look at this stack of sheets. Why is this important? Production tidbits. Here's the painted background videos used in one big close-up, 3-minute, 40-second, single take long shot. Meaning, there's a shot in this film 100 meters where it's a continuous shot for damn near 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 40 seconds, right? And it's one continuous shot. Now, those are always great in live action, but to do that in animation, it's hard for me to imagine how that would look in terms of a sheet. Well, we have our answer. That's how many fucking pages they had to do. Holy hell. The total number of animation cells used for a single take is an astonishing video, approximately 6,330 cells. Background video, 3,500 cells. So basically the approximate cells is damn near 10,000 cells. And why is that important? That's because this film here is a fucking masterpiece. Now, there's 2 films I finished at the end of 2025. The Chainsaw Man movie, which was a masterpiece, and now 100 meters. And man, both of those films, they highlight the 2 different ways animation sakuga can be used. Chainsaw Man has that kind of explosiveness, but it does have that more subtle animation too. But a film all about the 100-meter dash, you would say, is that really going to be interesting? And the answer is yes. But most importantly, the way they use sakuga here, continuously, I feel like the characters are always moving because they use so much rotoscoping. And at the end of the day, this film not only was probably the most beautiful anime I watched in 2025, but most importantly, it's one of the most powerful messages that there's going to be this kind of hiccup about people saying, well, we didn't get to see who won the final race. And this shot right here explains why that doesn't matter. Because for both of them, it didn't matter in that moment. They finally reached that point of just true bliss and happiness. And I think this film has so much to offer, and I think in a way has some life lessons as well. Because the whole point of this film, 100 meters, which does come from the creator, the author of Orb on the Movements of the Earth. And if you know how much I glazed and hyped that show up, like this author just doesn't miss. They don't have a lot of works under their belt, but every work they do is just absolutely fantastic. But it's the fact that throughout this film, there isn't this big tearjerker moment. But throughout all of it, I thought to myself, you know, there's almost this like melancholy about it. This kind of, it's almost like always there's a rainy cloud above our head. It never quite pours rain, but it's always there to remind you that life's kind of unexpected. I think directing wise, they did so good with perspectives and just making the isolation and loneliness kind of work. Because at the end of the day, we're dealing with multiple characters who are very talented at the 100-meter dash. One of the characters is so passionate, they go past limiters, meaning the human body naturally restricts us so we don't hurt ourselves. But this man's passion's so strong. Literally the day before he leaves, they have this like race as when they're kids, right? And he pushes himself so hard, his legs messed up and he has to limp away. Like, that's what I mean by limiters, right? And then, of course, you have our main boy who pretty much, it's kind of interesting because in a way I was kind of observing him kind of like the gifted academic student. For most of his life, he didn't really have to try that hard, right? Like he was just naturally better than everyone else around him. And when things started to actually challenge him, it kind of messed with his self-esteem and his self-worth, and he kind of tried to run away from the whole concept, right? And I think what's so interesting about the anxiety of this film is that 100 meters is a very short amount of time to run. It's about 10 seconds for these professionals, right? And in 10 seconds, the smallest things can either make you break a record or lose. And the way they kind of explain the fact that so many people either move away from this lifestyle or continue to chase after it because sometimes that high is worth it. And for other characters, it's so anxiety inducing that it's just not worth the stress. The fact that the most tiny of mistakes can cost you a title or a victory or beating a thing, it's so anxiety inducing. And then on the other hand, it's also the most inspiring. And for each racer, 100 meters is a different experience, a different thing that they'll chase after. And I think I wasn't sure exactly where they're going to end this film, but I was so happy with what they ended up doing, which was, at the end of the day, it starts off with these two as kids, just teaching each other and learning about loving track. And throughout the film, in multiple time skips, you know, seeing them in middle school, high school, and then well into their adult years, right? You think that childlike wonder is gone. Each of them are running for a different reason now, only for this shot to come back into play. And it just feels like, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes we get so caught up on breaking records and trying to be the best that it's just the passion of running and just chasing after what you want. It's just such an inspiring message because, like, literally prior to this scene, right? One of our main characters ends up retiring in this scene, and like, he basically, the speech he gives when asked, like, do you have any like message, he just lists a bunch of words that are half positive and half negative because that's his opinion on this whole thing. And it's so interesting to see the variety of opinions and what this sport means, because 100-meter dash is one of the more interesting things. Like, if you want me to sit down and watch some sort of sporting event, I think sprinting is a very interesting thing, just seeing how fast the human body can travel for short distance. I think it's really interesting. But I've always said this when it comes to sports series, right? In order to make the viewer, whether you like the sport or dislike the sport or neutral, you have to make it visually engaging. And that's where the Sakuga comes in, because there is action scenes in sports series. It may not be swordplay, it may not be gunplay, but at the end of the day, these races in this case are the action scenes. And whether it's a continuous shot like this that lasted damn near 4 minutes of one continuous shot, seeing rotoscoping done in some of the best ways I've ever seen in anime, at the end of the day, these types of shots are absolutely beautiful, and it makes you, like, all throughout watching this film, there's so many times where characters would do the sprint, and you'd see the camera almost like it was resisting us, like trying to pull us back because we were the ones stopping our running after going the maximum speed we could do. It's so freaking beautiful, and just everything about this has been completely wonderful, you know? Really enjoyed this film so much, and I think it's very easy for people to be like, hey, you know, at the end of the day, we all have different opinions. I like action, I like romance, whatever. I am not the target audience for sports series. So me getting up here and saying this is a masterpiece, this is you know, the best film I watched of last year, and if you watched my film review on Chainsaw Man, you know how much I glazed that. It deserves the 10 out of 10 rating if you ask me. But I actually enjoyed this one more. The reason I wanted to check this film out is because it was created by an author I had so much respect for making Orb on the Movements of the Earth, which I think is one of the greatest anime ever made. And to be honest, I think this is one of the greatest anime films ever made. Quantity over quality is not necessarily a good thing, but quality over quantity is always going to be a good thing. And this author, I think there's like 4 works listed on manga for my anime list for this creator. Quality every day of the week. You can let me know what you thought down below. I love this film. I loved reacting to it. I love talking about it. I honestly think this is a film I can make probably 10 videos for. But I just want to get some random thoughts after just freshly finishing this film. I just thought it was so freaking good. And honestly, it's inspiring in a way that just, it really does capture, I think, the good and the bad when it comes to adult life. And just, you know, even though we may not be the one doing the 100-meter sprint, it really does capture how short of a window life is and how small little changes can make or break things. But it's always important that we keep on chasing, I think. Put your thoughts down below, drop a like, share, support, subscribe if you're new around here, and Patreon is, of course, where I catch my full live reactions, all some more. Like, I also like to give video shout outs to my patrons, because without them, you won't see these videos at all on YouTube. All right, so today we got Jay, Tetsumi Lover, CC Time, Arcones, Sod, Lond, Sissy Old Dark Lord, and we also have Dawood Knight. So I appreciate the support. Please take care. Y'all have a good one.